What's up, George? What's going on in the House of Craze tonight?
Ooh, in the House of Craze tonight, we have a very special guest. He's been on the show before. It's Mr. Morgan Quaid, and he's going to be talking about his Kickstarter, Enmity 2. He's also going to be talking to us a little bit about his podcast that he's created recently. And then we're going to be talking about how many L's, how many losses do you take before you got to switch it up, baby? Before you got to switch it up. We're going to be talking about that next.
Let's get it.
We are the only show for independents all around, giving you a platform to spread your word all over town. Catch the Craze is the place to promote to your fans with the dream of Medina and Sam the Crazy Man. Subscribe to our show and never miss an episode. It's time to get your mans, listen to us on the go. Updated every week, we never miss a day. Join the squad, come on in. It's time to catch the Craze. If you are an independent, catch the Craze. Making moves on your own, catch the Craze. On your grind in the streets, catch the Craze. Join the movement, catch the Craze.
Yeah, George, we did it again. Come on now. You know you want to do it. Catch the Craze. Welcome to Catch the Craze Podcast. I'm your host with the most, Sam the Crazy Man, Vera, and I am with
George, the Dreamer Medina. What's happening, everyone? Welcome to another exciting episode of Catch the Craze. We are coming to you. It is September 16th. Happy Friday, everyone. We have a very, very, very good show for you guys today. But before we get started, please hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the like button. Comment below. Hit the bell. So you know when we go live, we are doing live shows every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. except for last week because Sammy was away. Oh, okay. And I'm coming to you from my car today. But yeah, please do so. Make sure that we're trying to get to 1,000. We're trying to hit that 1,000 mark, man. The road to 1,000, dog. But yeah, so what's going on, Sam? How you doing today? How you feeling? How's it going?
First, I just want to say shout out to if you watched that video in the beginning, Tech the Guys, the crew, San Martino and his posse. Go over to techthegods.com. They are sponsoring this episode, so thank you so much. Again, check it out. The stories are great. These guys are talented creators. What's going on with me? We're 4 days away from the launch of the most important event of the fall, the most important comedy event of the fall. Have you signed up? Have you signed up to the launch of There's an Alien in My Toilet, book number 3, I Chihuahua, right? This is where Duty meets Herman. He gets into the house. He meets Bobby. He meets the father. They got a government task force after him. There's a whole lot of stuff. It's a smorgasbord of comedy. This is crazy. And as of this recording, because we're in the past, we have 100 people signed up. So thank you so much. Yay! Thank you so much for signing up for the launch of this campaign. It is fantastic. And it's a double header. Remember back in the days when you had double headers? This is a double header. It's not only I Chihuahua, but there's also Duty's Monsters on Planet Cthulhu. This is going to be great. This is a mini series. It's a 3-shot mini series, but this is the first issue, which is available as a stretch goal add-on. It's going to be crazy. You want to join us live on the 20th, right here on Catch the Craze, because if we get funded on the night of the live show, we're going to have some great raffles. We're going to have a painting raffled, an original painting by me raffled. We're going to have a t-shirt raffle, right? But we got to be funded on the night of the launch. So a whole lot to come. So I hope that you join us for that. It's going to be fuego.
Yeah, we're going to be live. We're going to be live. So make sure you signed up. Make sure you check us out. Subscribe to the channel so that you know when we're going to go live, which will be on that, what is it, a Tuesday night, right? Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m.
7:30 p.m.
We will be live. Yeah, we will be live.
Time. It's going to be an extravaganza.
Extravaganza. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. No, so why am I in the car, you ask? Well, yes, I am picking up my mom from the airport, and as of right now, she's delayed. And so here I am recording from the car. We gotta do sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, please make sure if you haven't done so yet, check out getyourmeds.com with a Z. getyourmeds.com, where I have new t-shirts. This is actually one of them. I don't know if you guys can see it. Believe nothing t-shirts. So
Believe
check that out.
nothing.
Yeah,
That's
oh yeah,
exactly my
oh yeah.
motto.
Believe nothing, dog. Believe
It's you're
nothing.
all lies. You're all
Oh
liars.
Jesus, lies! It's all lies, and that goes back to actually I haven't really promoted this property, Rust 5377, which is the
I
project that
know, no
basically
love, which
launched
is my favorite of the two.
my indie career. Yeah, it launched my indie career. So these T-shirts are themed towards that story, the
Oh,
whole
something you got something in the
conspiracy
pipeline. You're acting up. You got something in the
conspiracy.
pipeline. Yo, why you holding on to me?
No, I
Why
got
you holding
nothing.
on to me?
I got
No,
T-shirts.
this doesn't happen for nothing. Something's going on. What are you not telling me,
No,
George?
I got nothing, dog.
Yeah,
I'm got I got Rust 5377 on the
uh-huh.
honestly, I swear to God.
No,
Like
what are you gonna do with Russ? Are you planning on relaunching it? What are you doing?
no, not yet, not yet. Well, I'm actually what I am doing though is I'm, similar to what you did with the Forbidden story.
Right.
I did this with Russ when I finished it. It was 6 issues, right? But it was open ended, right? It ends. It's one story. You get one story. You read 144 pages. Graphic novel is done,
Right.
but there's room for more stories. So I've been writing stories about Russ for a while, and I've actually kind of zeroed in on one that I do want to tell. So I'm writing a story there, but nothing concrete yet
No.
because I have to you have to get the artist to come
Yeah.
in and do whatever they got to do. So
Well,
nothing concrete.
if you ever plan on launching that again, I'll do a variant cover pro bono for free.
Yo, look at you, pro bono. Hell yeah, you gotta do a pro bono. Um,
I
I
got
was gonna
you.
ask.
I got you.
No,
I
no.
know, and then now that I got new skills with the coloring, yo, I'm gonna make that
Oh,
fuego.
savage.
Yes.
Yeah, man. So no, so that's going on. But yeah, no, definitely check out the website. Check out that stuff. There's obviously more stuff on there, and I'll update it. I'm trying to see next year, bro. Like I'm looking into next year for shows and stuff like that. I want to do the Wicked con that happens in Boston in April. I think it's a 2-day con this year.
What's
Trying to do that. Was that
Never heard of it.
Wicked? Yeah, they had a show. They did it this year. I think it was the same guys that did the Boston Comic Con for many years. I think
Mm.
they bought that convention, and it does very well. Keith Gleason, big shout out to him, and Johnny C have done it, and they say it's
Oh,
really good show.
they do. I don't know what they do. Like 25 shows a year. Those two
They
guys.
do a lot. They do a lot. I saw them at Terrific Con.
Oh, nice. He sold him at Terrificon, and then he went dark. I don't know what happened. There he goes. Hello. Are you back?
Sorry about that.
That's all right. It's just like
I had a call coming in.
I thought you got checked up.
Yeah, well, that's gonna happen. I'm probably gonna have a call coming in because, like I said, I'm picking up mom at the airport, and she's probably gonna call in. So if I zoom out, just go solo, Sam, and do your thing.
Sheesh.
Um, oh boy. So my mom's flight gets in at 11:50. Great.
11:50. Oh, yeah. You got plenty of time.
I got time, dog.
You got time.
I'm gonna be sitting in this car for a minute.
Don't you love those flights? Oh man. But
dude.
oh, that's great. Yeah.
Crazy.
I'm looking at next year. I think only two shows out of state for me that I have my eye on MegaCon and San Diego Comic Con.
MegaCon, bro. I definitely want to go to MegaCon.
Those
Definitely
are only
want to
two
do
shows. Number one, they're both nice, warm places, sunny places, and two, they're big events. That's the big arena. But next year, I think I'm going to try to do one a month in Texas locally.
Yeah.
And then two out of state because I can't afford. I don't have deep pockets. I can't afford to do multiple shows out of state as he goes dark on me again. And that phone is off the chain. And it's all those bill collectors coming after George. I don't know what's going on. They're just there's where's my money? See, George, if you paid your bills on time. But anyway, while I'm waiting for George to figure out what's going on with his phone, I just came back from the Denton Comic Art Expo. And I can tell you that it was a small show. It was an intimate show. Probably about 1,500 to 2,000 people showed up. It was open to the public. It was free to the public, which is fantastic. And it wasn't cosplay driven. It was a family event, all ages. And so you really had an opportunity to connect with people. So I made a lot of connections while I was there at the Denton Expo. and shout out to everybody who got a copy of There's Near My Toilet at the Expo. I met a lot of great creators at the expo and a lot of convention promoters, local promoters. So I'll be attending a lot of shows locally. Thanks for them coming up and introducing themselves to me and telling me about the events.
Yeah.
So it was a great intimate show. I loved it better than some of these big shows where it's really dominated by cosplayers and dominated by the bigger names where you're being blocked by lines or and that kind of stuff. Here, you felt like you felt seen. Like here, you were seen. People wanted to talk to you, wanted to know about what you had to offer, all those things. So you really had that quality time.
Yeah.
Um,
It kind of, the way you're describing the shows, and they're very affordable. Obviously, the tables are very affordable.
Mhm.
It reminds me of like when we were coming up and how shows just wanted to have people at the shows. They were very intimate, they were very small. They weren't like these big. I think Wizard, remember all the Wizard shows that they had, they started getting very big. And then
Yeah.
Reed Pop came through. And I mean, San Diego has always been around, but I feel like the little conventions were kind of pushed out here,
Yeah.
especially in New York. I think Jersey still had some, but even in Jersey, some of the prices for those tables were getting really, really high.
Yeah.
Whereas in Texas, you still can get some affordable shows. Sure, you're gonna have the big shows also because it's such a big state and you're gonna travel to different places. But it's good that they do have a lot of local smaller shows, and there seems to be a community
It's a
out there,
huge.
which is
It
cool.
was it was
Which is cool.
fascinating. I met a group of artists. They had a table adjacent to me, and they came over, introduced themselves to me, and
Yeah.
I told them I just moved here. I've been here a year now in Texas and the whole bit. And they're like, "Hey, look, whatever we can do to help you. Hey, do you know about this show? Hey, talk to this guy here. Do you know about this store? Is very friendly to." They were just like a wealth of knowledge, and they were very welcoming. The hospitality was on another level that I didn't get anywhere else, and I was like, "Wow, this is pretty fantastic." So I thought it was pretty dope. And in fact, it's going to be a lot of creators from these shows that I attended that will be appearing on Catch the Craze soon. So it was pretty
Awesome.
awesome. Yeah.
Awesome, yeah. No, it's good, man. That's the beauty of indies, and when they're still coming up and everybody's still, it's when they start making it, heads get bigger.
That's it. That's
So
it.
so stay humble, guys.
Yes. Stay
But
humble.
but talking about staying humble, you know what'll humble you, bro? A
What?
loss. A
Yeah.
loss will
A
humble
lot
your
of
ass.
losses.
A lot of losses. What are we going to get your meds and talk a
But
little bit
before
about
we
that?
get your meds, this
Oh,
segment of Get Your Meds is brought to you by Story Comic. Story Comic is a podcast that focuses on people behind the words. The host, Barney Smith, interviews comic creators of all types and their works and tells stories about comics, comic-based stories, and all other forms of prose storytelling. We've been streaming our show online since 2019, and it's been amazing to see how many people around the world have come to appreciate the value of hearing stories from people who are just as passionate about their work as we are. So if you're a comic creator yourself and you know someone who is, or if you just want to hear about your favorite book or comic, how it's made, come check us out at storycomic.com, storycomic.com. And now we get your meds.
It's time for your medicine.
How many times, George? How many times?
how many times? Yo, big shout out to Barney too from Story
Yeah.
Comic. Thank you so much for that sponsorship. How many times? How many losses? How many L's do you take before you switch it up? Before you change the trajectory, How many? How many does it take, Sam? How many lists does it take?
I got two sides to this face. So I'm thinking two. So
Two?
it's like,
Two? No three strikes? No three strikes? I guess three
no,
strikes, you're out, right?
I think it depends. Again, it all depends, right? So, like for instance, I came out here. First thing I did was go to all the comic shops, introduce myself, try to get them to um, let me put my postcards on their counter to promote my Kickstarter campaigns. They all said no, right? Every single one of them. I was like, what? They don't support indies, right? And unless you're in Diamond, they're not supporting. And that was a big thing I heard. And I was like, wow. And that was hard because I came from the East Coast and I never had that resistance with the retailers in the East Coast. So that made me realize I have to do something different. Then I can't rely on that avenue. I got to try a different route. So I wasn't going to go to do another 12 more and get slapped up. I said, all right, I hit 12 stores. I'm going to stop there because I'm going to get angry and we'll go postal, right? Because after a while you get denied. You're like, whoa, right? So I'm like, I'm going to move on to something else. So that's a that's one example for me of saying, all right, I got to try a different tactic. So, my next tactic was, all right, maybe I need to go directly to the audience, and hopefully the audience will create the demand that eventually will catch the eye of the retailers and distributors and all that other stuff. So I started changing that for conventions. If you keep taking financial losses at conventions, maybe it's not the right venues. Maybe, um, um, you know, um, maybe it's not your time. Right. So there's just so many things you got to look at, so many variables, all depends on what you had on display, what you took with you, your marketing game, your pitch game, all those things. So I think for me, after like if I took 3 losses in a row at Comic Cons, I'm stopping for a minute. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna reassess. I'm gonna take a couple of months off. I'm gonna take a break. I'm not gonna do it for a minute, and I'm gonna say, is it me? Is it my presentation? Is it my book? What is it? Because then I have to analyze and dig deep.
I think I think it depends on the loss you take. What kind of losses are you taking, right? You make some good examples about dropping things off at stores, and maybe that's just not the right store. And we all have a different threshold of patience when it comes to rejection. Some people can just keep going, and no matter what, they can do. Captain America style. I can do this all day, and they can just keep going and going and going. Yourself, Sam, you have a threat. 12, I guess, was your threshold. 12.
After
12 was it. 12
you know
was
what
it.
it is? Because I had to drive to all these places.
Well, yeah, and it's these are long
Long
drives.
drives.
These aren't close drives. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that something like that, for example, right, a mistake like that, you take an L and you say, oh man, these stores are shutting me down. Okay, maybe I don't drive to these stores. Maybe I call these stores up and say, hey, I'm thinking about going and dropping them. Maybe make a connection on the phone. Some of them don't pick up the phone. So they're just different ways to do different things. For me personally, I think if you make a mistake once, you got to learn from that mistake and not make it again. I think it only takes one mistake, because if you think that you're gonna make something different when you're doing the same exact thing and you think it's gonna change something, it's not gonna work. It's just not gonna work. If you go to a convention, right, and you didn't print enough books, right? So it costs you sales. You better have enough books next time. You can't print the same amount of books. You can't take that loss again. It depends on the loss. You that loss you can't take again. You know what I mean? If you printed too many books, right, and now you're oversaturated with books, the next time you do that show, you don't take that many books, right? Unless you've built a fan base enough and you know that more people are coming to that show. It's all about what you learn from every single loss. You have to learn something from that loss.
Yep.
And that's the only way you're going to make it in this business, because you're going to keep taking losses. They're going to come. They're going to come and come, but you can't make the same mistake over and over and over again and expect a different result. What do they say? That's insanity, they say. So I think it really depends on the loss. And like you said, Sam, like if you're going to a store and they're turning you away every single time, maybe you don't go back to that store. Maybe you let that store rest and go somewhere else. But yeah, I think losses are gonna come, man, and you gotta get ready. You gotta be comfortable, get comfortable being uncomfortable, because those losses are coming. But don't be the reason. Don't be the reason why they happen. You know what I mean?
Right. Don't blame everybody else.
Don't blame. And the other thing is, do research.
Yes.
There's plenty of information out there for you to avoid losses. The best way for me to avoid a loss is by learning what loss that person next to me took. If that person next to me is walking and they trip and fall into a hole, I'm not walking in that direction anymore. I saw they fell. Why am I going to do that? So sometimes learning from other people's mistakes is a way to avoid the loss too. But keep your eyes open and don't be lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be lazy to the point where you hurting yourself because you refuse to do the work. That's don't be a vago, man. No, that's gonna cost you. It's gonna cost you. It's gonna cost you a lot of money, a lot of aggravation. It really is. And so don't do it. There's plenty of information out there for us now. There's plenty of podcasts out there that tell you what not to do in certain situations. There's plenty of books out there. Whatever it is you want to. There's plenty of information out there. Google is a big thing. There's a lot of things out there that'll help you avoid some of those pitfalls. But you gotta be willing to put the work in too.
But the learning begins when you accept responsibility.
That's true too.
You gotta accept responsibility, because if something's not working for you, one of the things I do, and again, you have to be able to adjust in the moment, right? So if I'm at a convention, I'm sitting down, right, and like for instance, when we were at Fan Expo, we were blocked. I forgot the name of the writer. The guy was a writer for DC, right? And this guy had a line that we just came across all our tables, right? It went straight down the line and blocked everybody, right? So my wife and I, we changed tactics, right? So she got up in front of the table with the postcards, and we just started hitting the lines with postcards. Boom, boom. When you get a chance, check it out, check it out, check it out. Right. And some people took the postcards, some people didn't, whatever. But we just boom, boom, because we're trying to attract people to the table. So we decided to stand because now you can't see us because we're blocked. So we just decided to stand and whatever. So you have to adjust to what's happening around you.
Yeah.
And if you go an hour and you haven't made any connection, you hadn't had one conversation, you haven't moved one piece of art or book, walk the floor. Start going around talking to look at what's happening in the artist alley. If you're an artist alley, what's going on? What's the buzzword? What are people looking for? And then change up. Maybe it's your presentation, the way your table's set up, change it up. I think the first day I had the toilet, the alien coming out of the toilet, all that stuff. But the second day, it's gone, right? Because I realized that people loved to see when I was drawing. Right. And that's when so once I did that, I opened up a spot for me on the table because I didn't have any spot. I was, there was no way. So, and I started illustrating. Next, I'm moving commissions. Hey, can you draw this? Yeah, sure. How much would that be? This much. Okay. How long would it take? It'll take me 2 hours. Oh, I'll be back. Boom. And that's how it happened. So you have to be able to adjust. I realized, hey, look, while it looks great, it's impeding my ability to move my product. And that's what I'm there for. I'm there to recoup my money, to network, to get exposure. That's not going to happen if I've created clutter, right? Yeah, and I did it on my own, right? Or presentation wise, I thought it looked great, but it wasn't doing anything to help me. So I adjusted.
Yeah,
those are the things you have to be able to self-reflect and
Yeah.
analyze in the moment when it's happening.
Yeah, yeah. I think that also, I think some indies give up too soon. I think you definitely have to have some kind of you have to have that thick skin. You definitely there are going to be a lot of no's. You're going to fail a whole lot, but you got to be willing to go the distance. To go the distance. There are conventions, man, where like nobody's walking through that door, and there's a lot of times people pack it up. All right, I'm going home. That's it. It's done. Right.
Oh yeah, those
So
early packers 4 hours into the last day. I'm like, what?
yeah, and then people are packing it up and send
Yeah.
it out. Don't do that. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's natural, right? It's a natural reaction. I'm done with this, man. I'm out of here. I can beat traffic. I can be gone. If you sold out of all your stuff and you have nothing else to sell, yeah, bounce. It's over. It's done. But I think there's always something to do at a convention, even when there aren't sales. Networking is a huge thing. Yeah. I think the best thing about conventions, the reason why I like to do conventions is the camaraderie. The friends, the people that are there, hanging out outside and being around all of these creative people, that when it's done and you go home, you feel motivated to keep creating because you've been around all of these creative people. So leaving early on a convention, you take that away from yourself. I think people give, and that's just an example. Anything, don't give up. It's going to get hard. You're going to take a lot of losses. How many are you willing to take? It depends on how far you want to go. I mean,
I'm infamous for waiting to the last second.
Yeah, infamous.
I'm infamous for that stuff. I'll wait to the last minute. I won't because I'm always thinking there's gonna be a last minute sale. There's gonna be a last minute sale. That's why my head is always even in the worst conventions, I'm like, oh, right. And well, no one's coming, but you're good. You're like, come on, Sam, someone's gonna come. Think positive, right? But you know what?
No, I was gonna say those are if you're an artist, those are the best conventions to get some work done, to get some pages done. Bring work with you, because you're not gonna get it. You're probably not gonna be able to do it by the time you get home. You're too exhausted to do anything. Yeah. Might as well just do it there. Use the time to do other things.
My goal is to fill up. I got 1,000 slots in my sketch card holder, right?
Yeah.
Right. My goal is to fill that up. So when I have those down periods when there's no traffic, and you can't force the traffic, I'm doing sketch cards. I'm filling that stuff up. Boom, 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 because I know eventually someone's going to come across and want to buy that sketch card. But so if I have enough inventory, boom, 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 that, it's there, it's ready, and it's there to go. I think the biggest thing for anybody in the game is self-reflect, take responsibility, be humble, adjust in the moment, and keep trying. Because it's not, look, this game that we're in, It's a thankless game. It's a difficult game. It's an expensive game. You know, and the majority of the independent community are all doing it as a hobby because financially everyone needs a full-time job or whatever. It's like some other form of revenue intake, right? So the time that people are spending on this, when you are, if you're there, you're coming home from work at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and then you're drawing or creating till 1 in the morning to get up again at 6 in the morning, go to work, um, to give up because you had a bad convention. What was it all worth? I mean, what was it for? Right. So I think, you know, there's a lot at stake, and but growth comes from ownership when you own it. You know, don't
Yeah.
blame, oh, it was a bad convent. The promoter didn't do their job. This didn't happen. No, you know, ask yourself, what didn't I do? You know, what was I
Yeah.
missing?
And listen, I believe, I truly believe that there are reasons and there are excuses, right? Yeah. Sometimes promoters drop the ball and they don't promote the event.
Yeah.
And, you know, 5 people walk through the door, right? That's a good reason why you have low sales. But you not selling everything because you refuse to talk to those 5 people that walked in, now that's an excuse. You're making an excuse for not getting those five, at least talking to those 5 people that walked into the door. I think that you have to do, like you said, anything within your power that you can. If it's a crappy convention, honestly, you probably should have done the research and seen how many people actually walked through that door at last year's same convention. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
That's it. That's like,
Sometimes,
for instance, like there's a convention just local that I just found out from a promoter at the last convention.
wow.
And so my sister is gonna go for me and check it out and get some video footage of it, because you know I will be away for a couple of days. So she's gonna be check it out for me. And so when I come back, I can get some real time video to see what the crowd looks like, what the vendors look like, that kind of stuff. And that's like that counter surveillance. And and it's
Yeah,
me doing my homework.
little
Yeah,
recon mission.
it's
We
me
went.
doing homework.
I went with Jonathan. We went to a convention in Massachusetts, and dude, it was a great convention for us as fans, but it was a terrible convention as a vendor. Uh, there was there. It was great for us to walk around and chill and hang out, but when I looked at the vendors and what they were doing as far as sales, they were just kind of talking to each other, you know. And so that's not a convention that I'll go again as a person who's going to check out the convention because I had a good time. But will I pay whatever amount of money they were charging for a table no, man, that's a lot of money. That's a
Mhm.
lot of money. So yeah, so you gotta do your homework. You gotta do your homework and
Yep.
hopefully take less losses that way.
Yeah, so that was another segment of Get Your Meds. If you have an opinion about this topic, please put it in the comments. If you liked this episode so far, you know what to do. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Let us know that you enjoy the content that we're producing. So we're going to take this short commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to bring in our guest, Mr. Morgan Quaid, and we're going to be talking about Enmity #2 and podcasting and so much more. So why should you subscribe to Catch the Craze? You know, that's a question I've been asking all the time, but I'll let former guests tell you why. Here we go.
It's Monty Moore. I'm a 30-year comics veteran in comics, games, and movies, and you've been watching one of my absolute favorite podcasts, Catch the Craze.
You are watching Catch the Craze.
What am I listening to?
And you're listening to Catch the Craze.
Where are all the indies at?
A Catch the Craze podcast.
What are you watching?
I'm watching Catch the Craze.
What are you going to do?
Subscribe now to Catch the Craze, the #1 show online for independent.
Have you subscribed to?
You are an independent. Catch the craze. Making moves on your own. Catch the craze. On your grind in the streets. Catch the craze. Join the movement. Catch the craze.
Hello there, Mr. Morgan Quaid. you muted. You muted.
He knows how to drive. He can do it.
What's up?
I passed my driving test, Morgan. Thank you very much.
I didn't. Hey, how you doing, guys? I've been listening. It's been cool. I've been looking at stuff and searching stuff every time you guys mention something I don't know. I quickly get on and What's this story comic you say? Oh, interesting. Very good. Excellent.
Yeah, cool guy. Listen, Barney is a great dude, man. You definitely should reach out to him and talk to him. Story comic, really, really good guy. But Morgan, the Quaid. Thank you so much for coming back on the show. We're going to be talking about
Oh,
it
he
is.
did it. He already did it.
Enmity too.
Enmity. Yeah.
That's why I took the helm and said it, because
I love it. Well, listen, thank you for coming back on the show. Thank you for talking to us once again about another project, man. This is exciting. This is the second issue of Enmity. But you've also, I mean, you had another successful Kickstarter before that, and you've been writing a lot, man. You've been writing a lot. So what's been going on, Morgan? Tell us what's been happening.
I've been writing a lot.
Oh,
yeah. No. I've been writing a lot. I've been doing a lot. That's the same as you guys. Everything I've been hearing you talk about, it's exactly the same thing. It's like, how many brick walls am I going to have to push through today, and just keep going, keep trying different avenues and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I've been writing a ton of different stuff, trying to figure out. It's that thing you always do where you've got a certain amount of books that you've got, and then you've got new books that you're creating and working with artists, and you're always sort of prodding and looking for, is there some way through this? There's got to be one breakout idea that someone wants to pick up, and so just always searching and pushing and all that sort of stuff. So I've actually been writing scripts, which is something I swore I would never do, because first of all, you go to any cafe and you see the dude sitting at his laptop. I'm just writing my screenplay, that whole thing, and you think, oh, I don't want to be that guy. I don't even like coffee. But there's also, it's just so competitive and so ridiculous. But I actually connected with an indie film director, and he said, "Oh, do you want to write a screenplay for this kind of Western horror thing?" And I said, "Well, yes, please. I will very much like to do that." No experience at all at it, but I'll give it a go. Let's do it. So that's been the latest thing. It's lots of fun, lots of writing, lots of promoting, which is less fun, except for this show. This show's fun. A lot of the other stuff's not so much fun.
So how many projects at a time are you do you tend to write? Like, you find yourself writing all these projects. How many projects do you have going on right now?
I always have one or two novels. So I've got one novel at the moment, which, man, it's a struggle. It's the fourth novel in a series. So it's at the point now where it's so complicated. Trying to end this thing is almost killing me. But so there's a novel which is kind of in the background, slowly moving every day. A screenplay or a TV pilot or something like that. So there's one of those that two of those I'm working on at the moment, and two comic projects. Because the thing with the comic scripts as well is I don't write a whole story arc necessarily. I'll have an idea of a story arc, but I'll write one or two scripts or issues of scripts, and then get working with the artists, and then it takes a while for the art to get done and everything. So there's a lot of downtime. So they're kind of just sitting, and one of them I'm shopping around for a publisher at the moment, which is a super encouraging enterprise for those that haven't done it, going humbly offering your little thing to publishers. Please will you look at this thing and help me with it?
Right.
So I'm doing that as well. Yeah, it's all that sort of stuff. So yeah, 5. Let's go with 5. 5, but really 2 is the main one. Yeah,
that's incredible, man. Yeah, no, the fact that you find the time to do all these things is amazing. It's amazing.
And since the last time you've been on the show, have you picked up another guitar?
No, because there are rules in place now that forbid me from getting any more guitars. It's one out, one in, so I have to get rid of one if I'm going to bring one in. I did, though, the other day. A mate of mine came back with a guitar, but it was already my guitar. He was giving it back to me. It was a little Yamaha acoustic. It was the first guitar I ever played when I was 6 years old, when I was just starting to learn. And I remember it being so hard to navigate, because I was this little guy, little skinny dude, and your arm is up near, past your neck and everything, because you can't. It's just so big for this little person.
Right.
But I still have it. It still works. I can still record with it. It's just a nice guitar. It's really weird that I still have that thing.
Well, listen, I gotta thank you. I gotta thank you very much because you did a heck of a job with my my Wonder Duck theme song that you put
Dude,
together for me. So I really appreciate that.
It's a
Thank
cult
you very
classic.
much. Sir.
that
Oh
was
man,
so
quack
much
quack.
fun.
That
It
was
that-
good. That
I
was good.
already I had that piece of music waiting for something, and I didn't know what to put it with, and I just thought, oh, I'll give it a go with this one, see if it works, and it just worked. It was just great.
It
So much
works
fun.
so well, dude. It works so well. So thank you very much. So aside from the writing, the music, and all of that other stuff, you have a podcast. You have a podcast, right? The very occasional podcast.
The very occasional podcast.
Very occasional. So now you were
Yeah.
going to say, because why? Why do you have this podcast?
I have a podcast because I looked around and I thought, there's not enough of them. There's just not enough podcasts around. Everyone is waiting for another podcast. And I thought completely the opposite, actually. So I'd been thinking for ages doing and part of the reason is being on Catch the Craze and which, by the way, I don't have the lingo, so when I say catch the craze, it just sounds super white and horrible. And so apologies for that. Catch the craze, you say? Excellent. But yeah, so this sort of podcast and others like it were part of the reason why I thought I would love to do this, but I knew if I do it, I'm going to spend so much time editing these things, and it's going to suck up so much time. I never once thought this is going to be a moneymaker. This is going to be, something to really get me out there. I just thought, you know what, it'll be great fun. I get to talk to the sort of people I want to talk to. So I just thought, you know what? And I'll call it very occasional as a get out of jail free. So if I just decide to stop one day, it's like, dude, it's very occasional.
It's very occasional. Hey, when's the next one coming out? I don't know. It's very occasional.
We'll see. It's a genius marketing strategy for people not to know when the next episode is coming out. It's the dumbest thing to do. But I thought,
there's a podcast by a British personality. I can't remember his name now, but his thing is his shtick before every episode is, if you're watching this, don't tell anyone. And
nice.
And he says this right before the show. If you're watching this, don't tell anyone. So sure enough, everybody tells everybody about it.
Reverse psychology.
Yeah, and he's got tons of followers and tons of, and it's a really good podcast.
Very smart.
But I'm glad you're doing this, man. And I had the pleasure to be on your show. When it comes out, it's very occasionally. On some occasion, it'll come out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there it is. But I had a really good time. And listen, it's about talking shop, and it's about talking about the process, because everybody has a different process of creating and doing. And there is no wrong or right way as long as you're getting it done. That's what I feel. I feel like it doesn't matter what you're doing as long as you're getting it done, and that's what's important. And I think that even with your work and the stuff that you have going out there, you have so many things going on, but as long as you're getting them done. What is the toughest thing about putting all this stuff out, especially with comics? What is it that prolongs the process for you more than anything else?
It's probably it's the same struggle everyone has, getting the books in people's hands and getting enough people in front of those books. And that's whether you're doing it alone, whether you're running a Kickstarter, or whether you're working with a traditional publisher. Because what some people might not know is, even if you are working with a traditional publisher, even the mid-sized publisher, you still carry the weight of promotion and marketing and all that sort of stuff. They don't do that for you. It's not like as soon as you signed up, well, everyone's going to know about this book. No, you still have to do all of that work, which that can be tough. And it's tough initially, and then it's tough years on when you're still doing it and you're still pushing. It's one of those things you can't take your foot off the gas. You have to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. That's something I find hard. The newer thing that I'm just starting to, hang on, let's just have a 2-second cough pause. I'm muted for your safety. Sorry about that.
For your safety.
So, COVID, dude. You gotta.
I hear you.
Gotta watch
social distancing.
Social distancing.
You're
even
luckily
remotely.
all the way in Australia. Luckily, you're all the way in Australia.
This is why I left New York. I said I need to get further away from George, so I came to Texas.
How dare you?
Safety, for safety's sake.
Safety.
So the other thing that I'm now wrestling with, because when you're first starting, the first thing is I have to get this in front of a publisher. I have to get this picked up. Then you get picked up, then you start working with the publisher, then you start doing your own stuff as well, and you realize the limitations of both, and you realize, well, if I go with a publisher, I'm locked down with them now. So there's certain things I can't do. I can't just run a Kickstarter whenever I want. I can't just run a giveaway free promotion to kind of, you know.
Yeah.
So now I'm at the point where I'm thinking I've got 2 new books, one still in development, one issue is done, and I'm shopping that around with publishers at the moment. And so you're submitting, but you're kind of thinking, I don't know what I'll do if they come back and say, yes, we'll take it. Because the impulse is, yes, 100%, take it. Yes, take my money, take the investment I've put into this thing. But I have to think about it more carefully now, because I think, well, depending on how big they are, what their reach is, and whether this title is going to get swallowed up with 1,000 other titles, or whether it's going to be more noticeable. There's all these other things, the contract, the type of contract, what the split is, what would happen if, and I laugh, Netflix suddenly came knocking or something, something like that, what are the conditions there?
Yeah.
There's all of those things to think about. And I've got enough experience with a few different publishers now to see how different they are and what the limitations are. But then the other question is, what if none of them want it? What if none of them want it? Or what if, what do I do then? Do I just do it all myself? Because I'm at the point now where I've got a lot of books. Like the library's starting to grow, and it gets to the point where I can't push them all at once. So what do I do? Do I slow down a bit and focus on other things? And so, yeah, I'm kind of at that more mature / depressing stage of the journey, I guess, trying to think through that stuff. And there's also, it's just, I mean, I get this stuff back from an artist. It's so much fun. You got to remember that's like seeing your story put in this form that's the thing I forget a lot. You get just sort of caught up with all this other sort of stuff and trying to make it and trying to really promote and all that stuff. And you just forget, but you're living in a part of the world where you're privileged enough to be able to do this stuff, even if it's a side gig, and you don't have to spend 12 hours a day just grinding to eat. You know what I mean? You can have a day job and you can do this other stuff. So I've got to remember that. There's this thing, we always look above, we never look below. We always look at people that are doing better and they're famous and all the rest of it. First of all, we never see what their lives are really like. Johnny Depp, anyone? We all have our dramas and issues.
Poor guy lost a finger. Jeez, I didn't even realize he had lost a finger, dude. I'm like, what?
I mean, you can't get that back.
And he got a big nugget left on his bed.
Yeah. But yeah, we're always looking up. We never look down at the people that are less fortunate, have less opportunity, all that stuff, which is probably what we should do more often, so that we realize, hey, we're actually doing the thing we want to do, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you did mention something about the how you get excited when you see the art. Whoever's doing the art for the Enmity cover that's on Enmity cover that's on the Kickstarter, it reminds me of Joe Mad. Chasers. He has that look that's very very appealing.
Yeah, there's a couple of so Dave Schwartz did the interiors for issue 2 and one cover, the standard cover. His stuff is amazing. So he's the second one, the red one. He did that one. Okay. I've just gone out to a bunch of indies to say, hey, can you do a cover for me? Because their stuff is great. Right. And I don't want to pay $1,000 to get a really well-known artist to do it. Right. A, because that will sink the campaign. But B, also, my sweet spot is to try and find an indie artist who is really top quality. They're still getting better, but they're really top quality, but they're affordable. Right. And then I can help promote them. They help me with the quality of the artwork, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I found some really good ones. And then the trick is you got to hold on to them, and the better they get, the more likely they are to go somewhere else.
They change the prices on you, and it's over.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And actually, so the story behind, there's two definite. There's a difference in the artwork from issue 1 and issue 2. Whole new art team. Without joking, it is because of the war in Ukraine that I.
Oh, really?
Shift. Yeah.
No kidding.
So I was with a Russian team working on the first one. Great guys, great, really good team. And but there's things in place now. Even in Australia, we're not allowed to do business because of all that sort of stuff going on.
Wow.
So I had to look for another artist. So then I went found Dave through another podcast that I was on, and someone mentioned, and I saw the artwork and I said, "Oh, so this guy Dave, is he free? Is he good? What's he like? Do you mind if I contact him?" And kind of went from there. So
that's awesome.
What I'm going to do now is every issue is going to be a different artist, so I can kind of lean into the whole. Oh, it was just totally on purpose, man. This is I meant this.
Well, so here's a question for you, Morgan. Is it not an ongoing series, or do you see an end to the series? How are you handling the book itself?
I definitely see an end. So there's a 4 or 5. I'm debating which way issue arc for the series, or the first arc of the series anyway. So another 2 issues or 3 issues of the main story, the color issues that will cover the main storyline. It's actually I've written a novel which the ideas sort of come out of. So I know where it's got to go to end. But there's a whole bunch of spin-off ideas that I'm starting to explore as well, with black and white spin-off comics and a graphic novel that was, part of it as well. So I think this one will definitely come to an end. This is another thing that I'm talking about. If we look behind the curtain again, where I'm having to think seriously about, return on investment and all that sort of stuff, and closing it versus continuing it. Because if I continue, that'll be 6 or 7 comic series that I have that are continuing, and I can't fund that, and I can't give them the attention they need and all the rest of it. So I think I'll get to that, another 2, close that off, and then decide what I'm going to do next with it, and maybe sit on that for a few years.
No, that's smart. That's smart. And for those who maybe don't know what series is, tell us a little bit, without giving too much away, of the first issue that leads into the second one. Tell us a little bit about Enmity and what it's about.
Okay, so it's the story of a young girl, or a teenager, 16-year-old girl named Daisy, who is searching through the post-apocalyptic wasteland looking for her father. Her mother has died, and mother's last words were, "You need to find your father. Even though you've never known him, you need to go and find him." And it's a bit mysterious as to why. The larger backstory of the series is that her father is Lucifer, the angel, who got sick of being the devil and just quit. And as a result of quitting, that's what caused the apocalypse to hit and all that sort of stuff. So it's a bit of fun. It's a little bit of horror stuff, a lot of action, a lot of smart comments and that sort of stuff. But essentially that's it. So it's a girl searching for her father. As the problem is, because I've got these 2 issues out now, and I've got these side issues, some of the stuff's already given away, so I can't pretend, you won't know what's happening. So people will already know, just by looking at the campaign page, that she's the daughter of the devil. There's more than one daughter, and they're all starting to pop up and become part of the plot and intersect at certain portions. So you start to see that coming up more. So the story is, Lucifer went on a massive bender when he quit his job, and as a result of that, ended up getting a bunch of people pregnant. And then 16 years later, there's all of these, well, not all of these, but there's a few girls walking around that have Lucifer's blood in them, which gives them certain abilities and stuff. Yeah.
That's pretty freaking cool, man. Look at that. Look at that artwork. So walk us through the campaign a little bit here, Morgan. What do we have going on in the campaign?
Well, this is a pretty big one. So you can pick and choose. So if you're new and you just want to test it out, you can get issue 1 or issue 2 just as a standalone PDF or a print book. There's also, for returning backers from the previous campaign, they can get an upgrade pack, so they get everything except the first one. Whether that's in print or in PDF. So the main thing is 2 color books, so 2 issues, 100-page standalone graphic novel, and then 2 spin-off comics as well. So they're all related to the same story, all except 2 of them are from different artists. So it's quite a range of artwork. And lots of fun, lots of action, some horror themes. and it has this kind of supernatural backdrop. So the action's kind of split between what happens in heaven and what happens on earth, and the two different things there. And all that sort of stuff. And then for the first time, I've not offered this before because it's a real pain being all the way over in Australia. But for people that want to pay the extra, they can get all the copies signed, bookmarks. I even have A4 prints, and I'm going to, put a message and draw some stuff on A4 prints, a couple of stickers, so they can get a bundle with all of that stuff, which I'll ship from Australia. So it's a little bit more expensive because of that, but it means they can get this one thing. And they can also get the collector version, which is all of the comics covers as part of that whole thing as well. And they get their name in the back of the book for book 2 as well. So there's a few ones. There's a kind of a drawn in option as well, which is instead of being drawn into the main story, you get a portrait done of you as a post-apocalyptic survivor. So you give me a photo, give me the details, and then I'll write a character bio on who that character is. It goes in the last couple of pages of issue 2. So that's another option there. And then there's just a ton of digital books available because, as I said, now I've got quite a library of stuff. So that they're all available as well.
Sweet.
That cover's really cool. I love that guy's art.
Yeah.
And
so you have some stretch goals. Obviously, these are your backer goals, and those covers, they look kind of cool, man.
Yeah. So there's a couple of covers getting with stretch goals. There's free PDFs from other indie creators that are coming in. There's some of my stuff that's coming in. There's some new covers that are going to be released that no one knows about yet. So yeah, as the campaign goes, the other thing that I'm super excited about, but I can tell no one else is, but it doesn't matter. It's my campaign. I'm going to be excited. That is, I'm producing a 5-minute movie as part of this campaign. So it's like a funny horror film as part of the campaign, and 5 backers can be part of that. They can act in the whole thing. It's all done with just streaming cameras and stuff. It's all a bit of fun, but I had so much fun putting the initial thing together. So that's another thing I'm going to do during the campaign, which is just good fun.
Oh man! This is that piece that you were telling me about earlier today, Morgan? That image right there. So
that's
the
one.
logo. So the logo on the podcast is this face on the logo.
Yeah.
Which came from this.
I was so happy when that came through. It was so much fun.
That looks good. Yeah, it looks really good. Oh man, this looks good, man. This is a chock full of nuts here. This campaign, you have a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's probably my most complete campaign with what's on offer. And there's some books there that I've not offered before, some new ones, which is pretty cool. Some of them are just digital at the moment, but we'll get there with the printing side. There's a lot. There's even, if you get the Uber collection, you can also get some novels, soundtracks, all that sort of stuff. So lots. Awesome. It also has a soundtrack with it as well. Obviously.
Wow, man. Yeah, you've definitely thrown a lot of stuff into this. This is great.
Yeah,
it's a big one. Part of it is I just like the artwork, so I just keep going and going, and then well beyond where it's financially feasible to continue. But I'll just get one more little piece of artwork or cover.
That's it. When does that campaign end, Morgan? Just real quick, so that
9th of October.
There you go.
Thank you, Morgan. Appreciate that.
No
how'd you throw your voice like that?
I'm in Australia, where it's the hemisphere.
It's an echo.
I'm glad you said it anyway, Sam, because I forgot. I was like, oh God, I was going to have to use math. I don't want to do that. I don't want to count.
Yeah, I looked at it because when I was looking at when we're going to air this on the 16th, it has plenty of time. You still got a few weeks left. So it worked out perfect way. So you'll be midway into your campaign. So it'll be great timing to get this going. But we're at the point where we're going to give you the screen, and I want you to give you your elevator pitch. Why should people back this campaign? And then on social media. So go for it.
Hi, I'm Morgan Quaid, author of Things and writer of other stuff. Get on board with the Enmity campaign. You can go to the internet and find it. or go to morganquaid.com and I've got details there. I'm going to go the reverse way, seeing as we spoke about it earlier. Maybe don't back the campaign and don't tell your friends about how good it was and that they should also not back it as well. Bada bing.
Bada bing. That's it.
Bada bing.
Well, yeah, thank you, Morgan, again for coming on the show. Mikasa, Sukasa, you always welcome to come on anytime.
Thanks, man.
And congratulations on the launch of your podcast and
Thank you.
and the success of your campaign. I mean, you were funded. How long did it take you to get funded?
I don't know. I was so the first day, sometime in the first day, I was so busy with other stuff I didn't notice. But it's a short goal, so we got there.
Yeah. So if you haven't done so, the link is in the summary. Go and back this campaign. Check it out. Enmity #2 by Mr. Morgan Quaid. And what's the name of your podcast again?
The Very Occasional Podcast with Morgan Quaid.
Podcast. Thank you, sir, for being on the show.
Thanks, guys.
Success to you, buddy.
Cheers. Thanks,
Take
guys.
care, Morgan. Later.
So that was Mr. Morgan Quaid, and this was another great. I don't know what happened to George. George, his phone has just been acting up. Another episode of Catch the Craze. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up, hit that like button, subscribe, ring that bell. And when we grow, the indie community grows. And with that said, I'm Sam the Crazy Man Vera.
George the Dreamer Medina.
And we are
It's just easy. It does not. Acquiesce.
No, it's talking about my friend Acquiesce. Say my name, right?
This is what you were thinking? Oh,
He described me. He said, I'm the
What? Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. Catch the Craze. You are listening to Catch the Craze. Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze.
Candy girl.